My name is Grace, and I never imagined my own son's wedding would turn into the most humiliating day of my life. I arrived early, excited, dressed in my best gown, holding the gift I had saved for months to give the new couple. But the moment I walked into the bridal suite, everything changed. My daughter-in-law Melissa looked me up and down, smirked in front of her bridesmaids, and said loudly, "Look at her. She looks like a pig stuffed into that dress." Everyone laughed, even my son. My heart shattered, but I stayed quiet. It was his big day. But Melissa wasn't done. At the reception, she made a toast and said, "Some people should learn to dress their age and body size." Everyone's eyes turned to me. I wanted to disappear, but I forced a smile and stayed. I kept telling myself, "Grace, be patient. This will pass." But deep inside, a storm was brewing. What Melissa didn't know, what nitrogen monoxide won their knew, was that the very next morning, I would become the new CEO of her father's company. Yes, her father's business was being sold due to bankruptcy issues. I had been negotiating the acquisition quietly for months, and starting Monday, I would be the woman signing her father's paycheck. But I didn't want revenge. Not yet. I wanted the truth. After the wedding, I went home and cried. Years of raising my son alone, working 2 jobs, sacrificing everything. And this was how he allowed his wife to treat me. I wiped my tears and decided something. If they don't value me, I won't force myself into their lives. The next morning, I signed the final documents. I officially became the CEO of the company where Melissa also worked as a senior manager. Yes, my daughter-in-law worked directly under me now. I scheduled a meeting, a mandatory meeting. When Melissa walked in and saw me at the head of the table, her jaw dropped. She whispered, "W, what are you doing here?" And I replied calmly, "Melissa, from today, I'm your new CEO." She turned pale. The same woman who called me a pig, the same woman who humiliated me in front of hundreds of people, was now stuck answering to me. But what surprised me most, she didn't apologize. Instead, she said, "You can't treat me differently just because I married your son." I smiled and said, "You are being treated like any employee. But the problem is, your performance reports say otherwise." Her face went red. I continued, "You've been skipping deadlines, mismanaging clients, and covering up numbers." Her voice cracked. That's not true." But the documents were right there. Then I said, "We will follow standard company procedure. You have 1 month to improve your performance. If not, your position will be reviewed." She was shaking. Then she whispered something that surprised me. "Please, don't tell my father." I looked her directly in the eyes. "Your father will know everything, because transparency is how a real company is run." That evening, I got a call. It was Melissa's father. He apologized, not just for her behavior, but for all the hidden problems in the company. He said, "Grace, please handle my daughter however you see fit. She needs discipline." For the next month, Melissa tried, but she kept failing. Her attitude, her carelessness, her entitlement, all caught up with her. Finally, after several warnings, I had to make the final decision: termination. I called her into my office. Her voice trembled. "Please, Dante, fire me. My marriage, my life, everything will fall apart." I looked at her calmly and said, "You destroyed your own marriage the day you disrespected people who loved you." She finally broke down. "I'm sorry for what I said at the wedding. I thought I was better than everyone." Then she said something even more shocking. "My father always told me, people like you don't matter." I replied, "People like me are the ones who built everything your father owns." I handed her the termination letter. She cried, begged, screamed. But rules are rules. Later that evening, my son came to my home. For the first time in months, he said, "Mom, Melissa told me what happened. I didn't know she was bullying you." "I'm sorry." Tears filled his eyes and mine. He hugged me and whispered, I should have protected you. I'm leaving her, Mom. I can't live with someone who disrespects my own family. Melissa lost her job. Then she lost her marriage. Then her father sent her away to a therapy retreat. And me, I found peace. I learned something powerful. A mother's worth is not defined by anyone's cruelty. And karma comes back harder than any revenge. After Melissa lost her job and my son left her, I thought the storm was finally over, but I was wrong. Life was preparing something even bigger. 2 weeks later, I received a call from Melissa's father, Mr. Anderson. There was concern in his voice. Grace, Melissa has disappeared. I froze. She had checked out of the therapy retreat early, left her phone behind, and no one had seen her since. Despite everything she'd done to me, I felt a strange heaviness in my chest. No matter how cruel a person becomes, no mother wants to hear someone's child is missing, Mr. Anderson continued. She left a note. It had your name on it. My heart dropped. Why me? He sent me a photo of the note. For shivering, messy words, I need to talk. That night, was she trying to apologize? Was she trying to hurt me? Was she trying to hurt herself? The next morning, my doorbell rang. It was her, Melissa, standing in the rain, her hair soaking wet, her eyes red and swollen, her entire body trembling. She whispered, "Please, don't shut the door. I have no one else." I stepped aside and let her in. She collapsed on my couch and cried uncontrollably. When she finally calmed down, she spoke. "I know you hate me, and you have every reason to, but I need you to hear my truth." I stayed silent, she continued. All my life, my father told me that appearance, money, and status are what matter. He said people who don't look perfect, who aren't wealthy, they're useless. She wiped her tears. When I saw you at the wedding, all I saw was what he taught me to hate. My heart clenched, she said. You know why I insulted you? Because I was scared Daniel would love you more than me. Because deep down, I knew you were a better human than I could ever be. Then she said something I never expected. Grace, I'm pregnant. Silence filled the room. I didn't know whether to be angry, sad, or relieved. She continued. I didn't tell Daniel. I was afraid he'd think I was using the baby to keep him. Tears streamed down her face again. I know I messed up everything. My job, my marriage, but I want to change. Not for me. For my child. Her voice cracked. I don't expect forgiveness, but I'm begging you. Please don't let my baby grow up without a family. I took a deep breath. In that moment, I didn't see the girl who insulted me at the wedding. I saw a lost, scared woman begging for a second chance. I softly said, Melissa, everyone deserves a chance to change. She cried again, this time from relief. For the next few weeks, I helped her. Doctor appointments, therapy sessions, finding a small apartment, building a plan for her future. Slowly she began transforming. No arrogance, no entitlement, no insults. Just a young woman learning kindness for the first time. One day she asked me, do you think Daniel will ever forgive me? I replied gently, that healing is his journey. But your job is to become someone worth forgiving. As months passed, Melissa became someone entirely new. She volunteered at shelters, read books on emotional healing, apologized to her father, started looking for jobs outside his influence. Then, the day finally came. She gave birth to a beautiful baby girl, soft brown eyes, tiny fingers, a cry full of life. Melissa looked at me and whispered, will you hold her? I held the baby, and something inside me melted. This child, innocent, pure, a second chance for all of us. 2 weeks after the baby's birth, my son visited. He didn't know Melissa was there. When he saw the baby, his eyes filled with tears. He held her gently and whispered, my God, she looks just like Mom. Melissa stood quietly behind him, shaking. Daniel turned around. Their eyes met. There was no anger, no hatred, just pain, and a quiet hope. Melissa whispered, I'm sorry for everything I don't expect you to come back. I just want our daughter to know her father." Daniel looked at the baby again and said, "I don't know if we can fix our marriage, but I want to be in her life." Melissa cried. Later that night, when Daniel left, she said to me, "You saved us, not by revenge, but by kindness." And I realized something powerful. Sometimes life doesn't punish people to destroy them. It punishes them to wake them up. Melissa didn't become better because I hurt her. She became better because I showed her grace. The one thing she never received growing up. Now she's raising her daughter with love, humility, and strength. And me. I didn't just become her ex-mother-in-law. I became the grandmother her child desperately needed. And the woman Melissa finally learned to respect. Months passed after the baby's birth, and life slowly settled into a strange but peaceful rhythm. Melissa was changing every day, not perfectly, but genuinely. She was learning to cook simple meals, taking parenting classes, even joining support groups for new mothers. One afternoon, she called me and said, "I feel safer when you're there." Her voice sounded nervous. When we arrived, the doctor examined the baby, smiled, and said, "She's healthy, but I want to run one more test, just to be sure." My heart skipped a beat. Melissa's face went pale. After the tests, the doctor asked Melissa to step outside. He wanted to check something privately. Melissa hesitated, but left the room. The doctor turned to me and said, "Grace, I don't want to alarm you, but the baby shows signs of mild genetic markers. Markers that don't match Melissa's or Daniel's profiles." I blinked. "I don't understand." "What are you saying?" The doctor spoke slowly. "There is a possibility, a small possibility, that Daniel might not be the biological father." My entire world froze. Not because of anger, but because of the storm that was about to hit all of us again. When Melissa returned, I stayed quiet. This wasn't my place. Not yet. But I couldn't sleep that night. What if telling Daniel destroyed everything? What if hiding it was even worse? 2 days later, Melissa showed up at my house unexpectedly. Her eyes were swollen. She said, "Grace, I think I need to tell you something." My heart raced. She sat down and whispered. Something happened. Before the wedding, silence filled the room. She continued, "I wasn't a good person. You know that already. And before Daniel and I married, I was still seeing someone else." My chest tightened. She cried softly. "I thought it was just a fling, a stupid mistake. But when I found out I was pregnant, I didn't know who the father was." She sobbed harder. "I didn't tell Daniel because I didn't want to lose him. I loved him. Or at least, I loved the version of him that loved me." I breathed slowly. "Does Daniel know any of this?" She shook her head violently. "No, but I can't keep this secret anymore. I want to be a good mother, a good human, and good people don't build their life on lies." For the first time, I felt something unexpected. Pride. Melissa had hurt me more times than I could count. But finally, even painfully, she was learning honesty. She stood up and wiped her tears. "I'm going to tell Daniel tonight." I nodded, not because I wanted chaos, but because truth is the only foundation that survives life. That evening, Daniel came to my house. Melissa was already waiting for him on the porch, rocking the baby. He smiled softly at the sight of his daughter and said, "She always calms down when she sees me," Melissa whispered. "Daniel, we need to talk." His smile faded. They came inside. Melissa breathed deeply and said, "Daniel, there's a chance you're not the biological father." The room fell silent. Daniel froze like someone had unplugged his soul. He whispered, "What did you say?" Melissa cried. "I made mistakes. Before the wedding, I didn't know I was pregnant yet. But you deserved the truth, and I didn't give it to you." Daniel stood up, walked to the window, and didn't say a word for a long time. Then, softly, "Melissa, is that why you changed? Because you've been carrying this guilt." She nodded. He closed his eyes. "I'm angry. I'm hurt. But I needed honesty more than anything. You should have told me before. For a moment, I thought Daniel would walk away forever. But then he said something that shocked both of us. Even if I'm not her biological father, I'm the man who held her first, who fed her at 3 a.m., who knows her laugh. I'm the one she reaches for. Melissa cried harder. Daniel looked at the baby and whispered, "Family isn't just blood. Sometimes it's choice." Then he turned to Melissa. "But first, we need a paternity test. Not to separate us, but to start healing with truth." The next week, the test results arrived. We all sat together. Daniel, Melissa, the baby, and me. Daniel opened the envelope. His eyes scanned the papers, then suddenly softened. He exhaled a shaky breath. He handed the results to Melissa. She gasped. She looked at me, trembling. Then Daniel said, with tears in his eyes, "She's mine." Melissa sobbed into his chest. Daniel held them both. Then he looked at me and said, "We're going to rebuild this family, together, properly." For the first time in a long time, I saw hope in their eyes, not fake hope, not forced, real hope. And I realized something powerful. Sometimes life breaks people, so they can rebuild themselves stronger. Melissa found honesty. Daniel found forgiveness. And I found a family again. After the paternity test confirmed Daniel was indeed the father, a peaceful routine slowly returned to all our lives. But something still felt incomplete. Forgiveness is not a switch, it is a journey. Daniel visited often, helping with the baby, supporting Melissa. But their conversations were still careful, like walking on soft glass. One evening, Melissa called me again. "Grace, I feel like Daniel is still scared to trust me completely. And honestly, I don't blame him." She was right. Healing takes time. So I suggested something simple, something human. "Why don't you both step out for a small walk? Just the three of you, the baby and an ice cream each." Melissa smiled faintly. "I've never gone out casually with Daniel since the baby was born. It's always stress, therapy, or tears," I said. "Then it's time to change that." The next day, Daniel arrived. He looked tired but willing. Melissa took a deep breath and asked, "Can we go for ice cream? Just us. No heavy talks. Just a small family moment." Daniel hesitated for a second, then nodded. We walked together to a small neighborhood ice cream shop. The baby giggled in her stroller, reaching out at every colorful sign. Melissa kept glancing at Daniel. Daniel kept glancing at the baby, and I quietly watched them. When the vendor handed Melissa her cone, she laughed softly and said, "I haven't eaten ice cream like this since college." Daniel smiled for the first time in days. "That was when you used to steal mine," she teased back. "You never complained." He looked at her, longer this time, softer. Then Daniel did something unexpected. He took a small scoop from his cone with his finger and gently placed it on the baby's lip. The baby's eyes widened. She giggled, and everyone laughed. For the first time in months, the air felt warm again. Melissa whispered, "Daniel, I know I hurt you deeply, and I don't expect us to go back to how things were overnight. But I want to build new memories, honest ones." He looked at her and replied, "I don't want the past to define us forever. I want our daughter to grow up seeing two parents who tried, not to people who gave up." Melissa wiped a tear from her cheek. Daniel added, "We won't rush anything. We won't force anything. We'll just grow, one small step at a time." The baby suddenly stretched her tiny hands toward both of them, as if she wanted them to hold her together, and they did. Their hands touched, their eyes met. Their daughter giggled between them. A simple moment, a small step, but a powerful one. Sometimes love doesn't begin with grand gestures. Sometimes it begins with three people, sharing ice cream, under a warm afternoon sky. As we walked back home, I realized something beautiful. Healing doesn't always come through words. Sometimes it comes through moments that remind us we're still a family, and at that moment, we truly were. If you enjoyed this emotional family story, and want more heart-touching tales like this, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to click the bell icon so you never miss a new story.